We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. And also, rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. You can download it. Just search for Unbearable Sports. And while you're out there as well, we have our free draft guide. Just updated it now. My goal is to get 200 profiles out there for y'all. It's completely free. Just simply click the link down below in the description of this video, of this audio, however you're watching or listening to the show. And I updated it with, we have top 30 visits. We have, different breakdowns of all sorts of different players, completely free, different badges, analytical badges out there. So even if you don't like the show, make sure to download that draft guide, because it just got bigger, because we have our wide receivers that we'll be covering on Tuesday. Today, we're doing a mock draft for Mock Draft Monday, which is an old fan favorite, which is Robo Poles. That's right. For those that don't know, Robo Poles historically has been one of the worst mock drafters that's out there. But the reason why we do this is because we're using mock draft machines to basically say, make the picks for us. And we just kind of break it down, because at the end of the day, we're not the ones making picks. So we see, is Robo Poles going to redeem himself? Because I feel every year he gets probably around like a C is the best grade that he usually gets out of this. So let's get right into this. Joe, Bears Junkie, how's it going, my friends? Bear down to both of y'all. So let's get right into this and talk a little bit of news before we get into the mock drafts. So first off, Kyler Gordon signs the big time extension. I'm pretty sure, I speak for most Bears fans, where I'm pretty sure this is just renowned as a great move for the Chicago Bears. Someone that really kind of set the tone for this defense. Someone that is just an overall game wrecker and just a difference maker on that defensive side. You obviously want to see him get healthy, because that's a key piece with it. But besides just the overall health of Kyler Gordon, he's just different. He's able to move very well, and he's someone that you want moving forward. Also, $40 million over 3 years. Not bad. Yes, he's a slot nickel defender, but still, that is a starting level position, and you're getting him paid. So he's going to be here for the next 4 years. So you kind of have that entire time frame with like your Caleb Williams, because eventually you'd be able to kind of move on from him if you wanted to. So overall, I like it, and it just kind of continues this whole Ryan Poles loving to sign people to 3 years. And the reason why is because after Kyler Gordon's done with this deal, he can now look for a new deal. He can now go somewhere else and stay and just kind of capitalize on hopefully even better play. So now, before we get into the mock drafts, I do want to talk about 2 prospects, and that's Omarion Hampton, who visited the Chicago Bears today for a top 30 visit. Now, one of the things that we've talked about with Omarion Hampton, the running back out of North Carolina, is we did say when we were breaking down running backs, don't be surprised if the Bears actually take him at 10, where you start to see more of that. That was, a couple weeks ago that we said that, and now it's starting to pick up steam. And a big reason is because we know how important the running back position is for Ben Johnson, and seemingly how much the Bears would want a player like that. And 2, when you look at like Ashton Jeanty, ESPN analytics just give it a little bit over 10% of a chance that Ashton Jeanty will actually even be there for the Chicago Bears at the 10th pick. So they're saying, hey, chances are Jeanty will not be there for the Bears. Yeah, they could go Tyler Warren, but I do really believe that Omarion Hampton is going to be one of the options for the Bears at that number 10 pick. And I think it was Fawn, someone that I follow out there on Twitter. He's a Bears fan, makes a lot of, hype videos and highlight videos and stuff like that. Just a very good follow. He threw out Jonathan Taylor as the comp for Omarion Hampton, and I love that because I put Deuce McAllister, but yeah, I'm like, Jonathan Taylor, that's a perfect comp. Big, powerful back, gives you all that you want from an athletic perspective. But I'll say Omarion Hampton could definitely catch a little bit better. Still oddly bad at pass pro for being so large at 6'2", 221, but still a guy that I really like out there. But yeah, at 10, a little bit rich, but don't be surprised if it ends up happening. I feel we all will be, even though I say that, but still someone that the Bears bring in, someone that we all kind of feel that the Bears would be interested in. Also, too, the other person that they brought in, there's a couple others, but Caleb Johnson was the other big name, running back out of Iowa, the number 57 consensus player on the big board, also running back number 5. Someone I really like. I think that he's got a very high floor, 6'1", 224, reminds me of Jordan Howard. More of a power back, still don't see that long speed in his game, which is not great, but still, you have David Montgomery, you have DeAndre Swift, 2 different styles of running backs. I like Caleb Johnson. I really like him, but yeah, someone that you would more so get in the second round. Maybe he drops in the third, but I'm glad that they at least brought him in for a top 30 visit. Let's see what y'all have to say out there. Joe saying loves Hampton, and Bears Junkie saying, so with the extension, does it start after his rookie deal? Correct. So it would be, now he technically has 4 years now with the Chicago Bears. So because he had 1 year left this year and then 3 after this. And also too, looking at the free agents for the Bears, I was looking at it the other day and you realize like how much the Bears do actually need a safety, because all their safeties are basically gone after this season. But also too, yeah, I think that other players that are going to be gone, because like Jaquan Brisker, Byard, then also TJ Edwards is going to be done with his contract. He's 30 years old, so a little up there. Billings will be gone, or his contract will be gone. But yeah, we'll have Kyler Gordon for the next 4 years. Also, Ron, what's good, my friend? Bear down to you too. And yeah, lots of people liking, Omarion Hampton and Johnson. Trapakeepa, what's good, my friend? Bear down to you as well. Let's keep this train going, and let's get into the Robo Poles mock. So this is going to be a live mock draft. So there's probably going to be a player that I haven't done a deep dive on. So bear with me as well as we kind of go through this. Let me actually pull up some draft notes as well, just as we go through. Let me do this. I'm going to go. Just pulling some stuff up. Live podcasting. It's as a solo show at its finest. But let's continue to go through this and start out with the mock draft sim. Let me just kind of switch my camera over on to the mock draft sim. So what we're going to be using is the NFL mock draft database simulator. Now, the thing that we're going to do is we cannot make a pick. It's going to be all automatic picks out there, and then we'll judge it based on the mock draft pick and the mock draft scenario. So like I've said, caution, some of these picks might be bad. So part of this is also an exercise to go through how mock draft simulators actually pick. But also too, just we aren't going to pick the picks normal. So let's get right into this, shall we? So let's start out with going down the line. So first pick, we have Cam Ward going out there, and then Abdul Carter going number 2. I won't break down all the picks, but I just like kind of seeing how the board falls. And then next pick, Will Johnson going to the Giants. I'll say this about the NFL mock draft database simulator. Some of these, they do go a little bit crazy with it. I like how they have the consensus board, but man, they go a little crazy with some of these. So right now, the Bears are at 10. Armand Membu just got taken 1 pick before them for the New Orleans Saints. And right now, the players on the board. We got Travis Hunter miraculously dropping down. We got Shedeur Sanders. We have Will Campbell. We have Ashton Genty. We have Jalen Walker, Jahdae Barron, Mikael Williams, and Mike Green all on the board. I'm curious, who would y'all want to take in this scenario in the first round? If you're watching this later on, down in the comments. And J2K, what is good, my friend? Just in time for the first pick of Robo Poles. So what I'm hoping that this is smart enough to go Ashton Genty or Will Campbell. Like, come on. Like, we have 2 people right there that we can get. Even if it takes Jalen Walker, I'm not a big Jalen Walker guy. but we'll see what I feel like. Will Campbell, Ashton Genty. Come on, Robo Poles. It's right there. There's a lot of easy picks that you can make right now. You can take those picks right now. So let's see what they end up doing. All right. I'm gonna restart this one. We have Travis Hunter. I'm gonna restart this one. That is way too unrealistic. That is too unrealistic, Robo Poles. Now we are gonna start it back over. Like I said, this can be a little crazy. We shall start this off by going down with the Chicago Bears draft pick, and I am going to also just narrow this down. That was too crazy. Too crazy for the first pick in the draft. We are going to start this over again with this, and let me shift my camera angle around. I'm going to change this over to auto draft and shift this around so y'all don't see countless advertisements out there. I like how I have a Planned Parenthood advertisement, even though that's, I don't know if I think I told y'all, I'm having a baby number 4 is on the way in June. See, it's kind of funny that I get a Planned Parenthood ad real quick where they're like, yeah, too late for that. Too late indeed. But let me just kind of do a little hiding, a little bit of CSS magic real quick. Then we'll kind of get this going. That's probably good. Let's get this going. Oh yeah, I didn't tell y'all. I'm sorry, chat. Yeah, everyone's saying congrats. I'm so sorry, guys. And Josh saying that. Yeah, baby number 4. It's going to be another boy. So we're going to have 2 boys, 2 girls. So yeah, after this, probably done. Probably done. Stopping with 4 kids, which is a lot for this day. And in this economy, that's a lot of kids. So let's see. All right, I got the stuff hidden for right now. Let's take 2. I mean, Robo Poles did what we wanted. He did take the best player available. It was just a little bit too good, Robo Poles. Too good. Okay, Travis Hunter is at least off the board this time around as we start going. And reload too. Getting in, my boy. Yeah, you know, I had to. But here, let's get into this now. Speaking of getting into things, let's get into this mock draft to see what we have available out here. So Travis Hunter goes 1 pick before the Bears, and now who's on the list? Now it seems a little bit more realistic. We are not going to bail out of this one because, hey, we now have faith in our boy Robo Poles. So with this, we have Travis Hunter. That goes at 9. And who's on the board? Ashton Genty, Armand Membu, the tackle out of Missouri, Tyler Warren, Jalen Walker, and Tet McMillan, Kelvin Banks. So lots of really good players. Let's see who Robo Poles ends up picking. All right. With the 10th pick in the NFL draft, the Chicago Bears select, for those on the chat, the Chicago Bears select Mykel Williams, edge out of Georgia. How would you grade this? Here, let me throw this up in chat. So Mykel Williams, someone that we've talked about before, somebody that is a good run defender, has some upside as that pass defender. To me, I don't really mind this. They're giving this an A for a Robo Poles mock draft. It's solid. I agree with Joe. I give this a B as well. Where if this were to happen, I'm not in love with Mykel Williams, but I like the scheme fit. I feel like if they were to go with Mykel over some of these defensive ends, I really do feel like that is going to be someone that it's more that schematic fit. And also what you're hoping for too is that he was banged up during the year last year and was playing on a bum foot, has not been put in a lot of positions to actually play exactly where you want him to. So I feel like with the Bears, it's not a bad pick. It's not a terrible pick overall. But at the same time, yeah, I agree with Reload. When you have Ashton Genty right on the board, it's going to be Ashton Genty 10 out of 10 times. I'm convinced of with the Chicago Bears. And also, too, you had Tyler Warren there. You had Armand Membu. probably my favorite tackle in the draft. I love Armand Membu. It's just true right tackle. Can you shift him over to left? So I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I would probably move it down just because of how many other good players were out there, and taking Mikael Williams over those players. Yeah, that might be a little rich, but I think when you're looking outside, or if you just joined the live, you'd be like, oh, not bad. Not bad at all for Robo Poles. So Robo Poles going with Mikael Williams. We now have simulated all the way out to our 2 second-round picks. And here, we have the crazy scenario that I talked about in my first mock draft. We're on the board. From a offensive tackle perspective, we have Josh Simmons and also Josh Connerly both on the board. So tackle out of Ohio State and tackle out of Oregon's with Josh Connerly. And also, too, at the edge, we don't need one. So Landon Jackson, JT Tuimoloau still available out there. But when we go out to safeties, Xavier Watts still available for us. Running backs, Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins, Caleb Johnson, still out there from a running back's perspective. It feels like it's going to be picked with one of those. I feel like they have to go running back with some of these. Tight ends, Mason Taylor, number 45 consensus player, still available. Elijah Arroyo out of Miami, still available. D tackles, Tyleik Williams, Alfred Collins. So you got some pretty good meat up there. Wide receivers, if you want to go crazy, you got Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State available as well, which it's crazy. Emeka Ibuka and some other wide receivers really do seem to be getting dropped out there a little bit. So other players too, just to see. Gray Zabel, I don't think that we would go interior. We wouldn't go Carson Schweschinger if we wanted to go linebacker. I think that's a little rich. But let's see. I see some running backs. I feel like they would. I feel like they really would go running back with this. But let's go into this. Let's see what Robo Poles ends up going. I'll just go through both of these. All right. Interesting. All right. So with the 39th pick in the NFL draft, wish I had the little note. Bears select tackle out of Ohio State, Josh Simmons. And someone that we've talked about on this show as being a potential faller. What do we think about Josh Simmons? And then at pick 41, the Bears going with tight end Elijah Arroyo out of Miami of Florida. Now, Josh Simmons, to me, I can see him dropping. And quite frankly, I could see the Bears potentially going after him as someone that, it would be more of the medical questions, because yet again, I'm not a medical expert. When I do a deep dive and see what other people have to say, there are questions that maybe he needs another year to then recover. And a lot of people that might be going after other tackles might be trying to go after some different ones. So I don't mind the pick of Josh Simmons as long as they feel, hey, maybe he just needs a year to just kind of bolster and get back to health. But yet again, anytime you're talking about injuries, I think we all kind of hold our breath a little bit and we go, oh man, what's going to happen with that? So Josh Simmons, I like it. I like the pick that's out there. Yet again, I still would like, a D tackle, or we talked about running backs. I'm kind of warming up to Travion Henderson a little bit. Not absolutely in love with the idea, but I really did think that they were going to go off of that. The Elijah Arroyo pick, I am not a big fan of. Let me see if let's see if they have the drafted players as well. I can't really see who drafted. Can't necessarily shift over to see who exactly drafted right before us. But to me, Mason Taylor was right on the board. I'd rather go with a Mason Taylor over Elijah Arroyo. So not a big fan of what Robo Poles did with that. Not a big fan at all. So let's keep on going. And Illinois Jones just popping in. But this is possibly the worst mock draft ever. That's what Robo Poles does, man. Robo Poles, yeah, I don't like the Elijah Arroyo at pick 41. Not a big fan of that. So come on, Robo Poles. Josh Simmons, I don't mind. I just don't like the cohesion with this. Yet again, this is what happens when you have a simulation of what would happen. All right, one more pick. Come on. Stop. Trying to stop right. One pick beforehand. Come on. There we go. Perfect. All right, so one pick before the Chicago Bears pick. Let's see who's on the board. Carson Schweschinger, Linebacker out of UCLA still available. I really like him. We'll be talking about linebackers later on. Someone I really like. And then also JT Tuimoloau, edge out of Ohio State. The simulator's not going to take an edge again. I like the idea of actually doubling up on it. Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa, is still available. Please, Robo Poles. Please, Robo Poles. Draft him. He's right there. He's right there for the taking. Because if we look at wide receivers, if we want to go with one, Alec Ayumaner out of Stanford, I'm warming up to him a little bit, but I don't love the idea of going wide receiver after you went so rich, after Robo Poles went so rich on tight end. Tackles, Cameron Williams, not a big fan of that. Interior, you have Jonah Savania out of Arizona. I like him. He was actually someone that the Bears brought in on a top 30 visit. The question is, can he actually play tackle versus interior of the line? Jared Wilson, the center, still available. I don't love the idea of that. And also, we got Josh Simmons, duh. D tackle, Shamar Turner and Josh Farmer. I like that, but Omar Norman Lott, I don't mind that if the Bears were to go with that. Cornerback, Jacob Parrish, okay, but yet again, we just locked up a slot. So hopefully, Caleb Johnson, he's right there. The next best is DJ Giddens. Come on, Robo Poles. Draft him. Come on. Let's see what he does. Oh my God. Robo Poles, like we said, Robo Poles is the worst GM of all time. With the 72nd pick in the NFL draft, Robo Poles selects Denzel Burke, cornerback of Ohio State. Why do I do this exercise? Why? We do this every year. I'm like, it's going to be fun. It still is fun. But man, what the heck? That's terrible. That's terrible. All right. I have nothing. Yeah, I have nothing to say about that one. I have no insight. What we would be doing right now is we'd be like, you know what? Same old Bears. We'd be going back and we'd be picketing back at Soldier Field. It's so bad. See, Samo said, turn it off, and literally it listened to you, Samo. And it just was like, you know what? We're done. We're not going to be playing this anymore. Jeez. Come on, Robo Poles. It was right there. Oh, it sped through. So we know what we got at pick 148. Who was on the board? CJ frickin' West, defensive tackle out of Indiana. We also have Lathan Ransom, very good safety. And Jared Ivey, very good defensive, kind of could shift him at D tackle. Bashaw frickin' Tootin. Devin Neal, running backs. Great running backs on the board. Robo Pole selects Dean Clark, safety out of Fresno State, he's like 260th. Okay, Robo Poles, you're fired. You're fired. All right, I think that Robo Poles has officially been fired now. So I think that's my take on this, is that Robo Poles does not deserve a job. We'll see what ends up happening at the very end. But ladies and gentlemen, this is why we do the Robo Poles draft, to see how these simulators actually select people. Because man, that ain't pretty at all. That ain't pretty at all. So maybe I can load up a different one. We can see what actually loads up with this if y'all are down. And we could do, what simulator would y'all want if we want to do another one? Yeah, this mock, not good. Not good at all. Not good at all for us. Illinois Joes. It's not much different than polls in real life. Man, I hope if we came away with Dean Clark and Denzel Burke, I'd be pretty ticked off. I'm actually just going to simulate the very end of this, and we're going to finish this. Man, Robo Poles, the 7th round at least looks like him a little bit. Okay, so the last 2 picks, Tyree Powell, linebacker out of Rutgers, got a D+ for that. Someone that I could tell you is very, very low on the board, but at the same time, in the 7th round, people just go crazy with whoever they're going to draft. But I like this last pick at least. So there's 2 picks that we liked. Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas, someone who can play a big slot receiver. I don't mind that at least. The rest, garbage. The rest, absolute garbage out there. And Sam was saying, try the new ESPN simulator. Let's do that. Let's do that because Robo Poles crushed our hopes and dreams yet again. Another year, another absolute fail from Robo Poles. Maybe next year I'll learn. But let me load up the ESPN mock draft simulator. We'll at least do that. Chat, we'll salvage this and make this awesome. We'll make mock drafts great again. ESPN mock draft simulator. Let's do that. Because I know a lot of people don't necessarily use the ESPN one. Let's get this on the road. Let's do a chat one. Y'all bared with me with the with this one. So let's get into the mock draft simulator. And I will base this off of chat interaction with this. Let's go in and let me do full screen. F11. And let's do a full 7 rounds because we deserve it. And let's go with light speed because we're not going to have Robo Poles has lost. Robo Poles has lost picking duties. Chat, you are now the new pickers of the mock draft. So let's get right into this. Let's first off talk about what happened with the draft. We just started out. Shedeur Sanders, shocking the world, going number 1. So we're off to a great start. Cam Ward going number 2 to the Browns. Travis Hunter going number 3 to the Giants. Mason Graham going 4 to the Patriots. Abdul Carter miraculously dropping down to the Jags at 5. Jalen Walker to the Raiders. Ashton Genty 7 to the Jets. Will Campbell 8 to the Panthers. And Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan, going 9th to the Saints. So let's make a pick. Now, let's see who's on the board right now. Tyler Warren. So I like that. So chat, let me know. We have Tyler Warren available, who's their number 4 player. We have Armand Membou, Michael Williams, and Colston Loveland. Other players as well. Let me just see. D tackles, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant. Tight ends is really just, Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. Offensive tackles, we got Armand Membou, Kelvin Johnson. Kelvin Banks. And then, I think it's, I agree with Illinois Jones. I think if it's this scenario, right? I think that the Bears are going to go Tyler Warren. I think that that's the person that they want. The question would be, I really do think it's a legitimate question of if they want to get an offensive tackle. It's whatever Braxton Jones, what is Braxton Jones's health overall? And Ron saying Hampton. Do we go Hampton just for the sake of Hampton going on a top 30 visit? Right? I'm going to see this. I'm going to ask y'all, should we go Hampton because top 30 visit? Actually, you know what? I'm making the executive decision. Let's go Hampton just because he went on the top 30 visit. This is going to be an Amarion Hampton draft. I would go Tyler Warren. I would go Tyler Warren. Let the record be show. But we're going to say what happens. Chat, we're going to go with what happens if Omarion Hampton is the person that they end up going with at the number 10 pick. So we're going, what the heck just happened? They just went Omarion Hampton. Now we have to salvage this. Now we have to bring this back up and make this so that it feels good. Like I said, I'd go Tyler Warren. But let's see what we got out here. And of course, the first running back we see out there at our next pick, Travion Henderson. So let's see what we have. Obviously, we have a running back. We went with Hampton with the first pick. Now we have, let's see, we don't need a running back. We have, let's go to the edge. Jordan Burke out of Oregon. We got Oladejo. Nick Scorton is still available. Landon Jackson, JT Tuimoloau, Princely Umanmielen. Defensive tackle, TJ Sanders, Omar Norman Lott. I know a lot of people love that guy, myself included. I think that he's got some crazy potential. And then let's see, Tyleek Williams is out there as well. So let me just go with the overall position. So Jaden Higgins, wide receiver. Josh Connerly, offensive tackle. Got Trey Amos. We got Elijah Arroyo again. We have TJ Sanders, defensive tackle. Want to go cornerback, Benjamin Morrison. Trey Harris, someone that the Bears did bring in. Let's see who else is out there. Norman Lott still there. I saw Illinois Jones say Walter Nolan. I was like, oh man, I didn't see him though. Connerly. I like the idea of Connerly. But let's see. TJ Sanders, I'm seeing out there. Let's see. Post this out there in the chat. I'm going to start a poll. Who should we draft? Connerly. There. Connerly. We'll go. Who else is out there? Go TJ Sanders. JT Tuimoloau. And I know Jordan Burke is out there. I saw Jordan out there. See what y'all have to say. I see a lot of Connerly. I think Connerly's probably going to be the pick. I'm actually going to end it. Chat has voted. We're going to go with Connerly. Seeing a lot of Connerly out there. So Josh Connerly, offensive tackle out of Oregon. I like that. I like that, chat. Because when you go with the offensive tackle, I think that's pretty darn good. Now next, we have our offensive tackle to kind of duke it out versus Braxton Jones. We also have our running back and Omarion Hampton. Let's check out the defensive line because I feel like defensive line, first off, tight end Elijah Arroyo, like we said, might be a little rich. I know that they really like him for ESPN, but let's see some edges. We have Jordan Burke. We have Nick Scorton. We have Landon Jackson. We have JT Tuimoloau. Lots and lots of D tackles. See, this is where we would just be like, oh, let's trade down, right? And we could totally just trade back and be like, hey, we'll just pick up these guys and kind of game the system. But we will not. We will not for the sanctity of the mock draft. Actually, to be fair, I'm kind of tempted to. But let's see what else we have out there. D tackle. We have TJ Sanders, Norman Lott, Alfred Collins, Tyleek Williams. Some pretty darn good D tackles out there as well. Seeing D tackle out there. Any thoughts? So when I'm looking at this, first off, I'm really intrigued by Jaden Higgins, but I think since we went running back, Jaden Higgins I think is just phenomenally good. But I'm looking at edge, and I think that Scorton, the fact that he's still available, I think that Scorton is pretty darn good. So I see Scorton, and I like that. Let's see. I mean, Carson Schwessinger, I actually really like too. And I do agree with Illinois. I like Noel is very good. Also, Omar Norman Lott. Man, this is where I wish Robo Poles was here and he could just go with that. So I see 2 Scortons in the chat. Any others? Since I see 2 Scortons in the chat, we're gonna go Nick Scorton. We're gonna go Nick Scorton overall, and I like him. I think that he's got a lot of potential, and I think he fits the system pretty well. Also, like we've said before, what the heck is going on with Texas A&M? So we're gonna go Nick Scorton right here and take him. Someone who is a potentially first-round player, but let's see if anyone else drops to us. I'm hoping that D tackle can at least drop to us out there. I see Scorton a lot. I do agree with you, Bears Junkie, though. I do like Sanders as the penetrating type. TJ Sanders and Norman Lott. I'm going to leave this up to D tackles. Or let's see wide receivers or tight ends. Gunnar Helm and Harold Vanden. I like that. Wide receivers, Jalen Lane. I think it's a little bit high for that. Linebackers, Carson Schwessinger. Do like that. I actually do really like that. I really like Schwessinger as a player. But let's go D tackle. I think that there's a lot of good D tackles out there. I'm going to have y'all vote for this one because, which D tackle should we draft? If this ends up happening, this would be amazing. So we have TJ Sanders. We have Norman Lott. We have Tyleek Williams. Now, just kind of a little breakdown for those that don't know these different players. if you were to kind of like group these out, TJ Sanders is someone who has, like 7 starts to his career, but he is a very fast penetrator, very, very quick, kind of lighter, more of that kind of 3 technique that you want. Omar Norman Lott, like we were saying before when we were covering D tackles, around that 200 snap kind of mark for us. So did not play a lot of snaps, but when he was out there, dominated in passing downs, one of the highest pass rushing win rates. Now, you credit it to his low snap count, or do you say this dude's just an absolute beast? That's just the way that they played their defensive linemen at Tennessee. We have not really seen how Omar Norman Lott plays against the run, though, so that is one thing. Speaking about people against the run, Tyleik Williams is a run defending specialist. He's not going to give you any sexy pass rush productivity, but man, the dude clogs the run. So right now, we got Tyleik Williams as one of the biggest things. So, it's Samo saying, remembering the last South Carolina D tackle leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Hey, I don't blame you there. Especially someone who is like known for his quickness. So I feel you there. So let's see. Votes are trickling on in. If you haven't already, make sure to vote out there. And also, if you're not able to vote, hit the subscribe button. And then hit the subscribe button. Here's my little animation. And then you'll be able to get that out there. So let's see. And next little piece, let me shift this over. Vernon saying Walker. Different little take with that. I'm going to close this. The victor is Tyleik Williams with the victory. Defensive tackle out of Ohio State. We are prioritizing, and I like the pick. I think that you couldn't go wrong with any of those. It's really more of a flavor of what we think that the Bears will want to go with. So we go with the run stuffing defensive tackle, Tyleik Williams. I like it from the sense of you don't know how much longer you're going to have Andrew Billings. Also, it just pushes the ability to say, hey, for everybody else, y'all have to rush the passer. When you have Grady Jarrett, when you have Trevon Dexter, those are going to be more of your aggressive players. Tyleik and Andrew Billings, they're going to be more so just, more so of your run stuffers. All right, now we are down here into our next area. So now let's see who we have right now. So just as a reminder, pick number 10, for the sake of what was going on, we actually had the Bears go with Omarion Hampton to say, what could we do if the Bears ended up going Omarion Hampton? Then we have Josh Connolly Jr. going at left tackle out of Oregon. Nick Scorton, edge out of Texas A&M, and Tyleik Williams. I like this. I do really like this. Omarion Hampton, I think, Chet, y'all are doing a great job. I think that this is a darn good looking draft so far. So we have D tackle, D end, offensive tackle. Let's see what we can do. First off, I'm going to go straight to the wide receivers. We're going to go and, of course, we're going to talk about the wide receivers tomorrow. But let's see who's available. We have Daquan Felton out of Virginia Tech. We have Chamari DK, who's out of Florida. He's a speedster. Not a lot of great people out there. Someone that I like is, I actually really like Pat Bryan out of Illinois. But I think that we can get him a little bit farther down. Isaac Tesla, same thing out of Arkansas. Kobe Hudson out of UCF. Some players that I don't necessarily love the wide receivers. Tight end. Right now we're at pick 148, just as a reminder. Jackson Hawes. He's that big run blocking tight end. So if we want a true run blocking specialist, we could go with Jackson Hawes. But yeah, wide receiver. Yeah, I agree with you, Samo. I think that wide receiver, not great. Jackson Hawes is a candidate, I'd say at least. But let's see what we have at safety. Billy Bowman Jr. out of Oklahoma. He's someone very, very big time, very big time safety from a playmaking perspective. Sebastian Castro, their 150th player overall, is still available as well. So that's kind of right there. Also, Ron, I agree. Last mock was unbearable. This is how we're going to bring it back. This is going to be the mock of the people. This is the people's mock. Let's see who else is out there too. Linebackers, Chris Paul. I like him. If you want to go linebacker out here, that is an option. I really like Cody Lindenberg out of Minnesota. or even like Jack Kaiser, like some of these linebackers, but could always wait until the 7th. I guess, what are we feeling, chat? I'll go out to center and guard too. Jonah Monheim out of USC, somebody that has played with Caleb. Do we really want to go with the guard center type of combo though? Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of like, and this is where the whole going with a running back early, you still have like Devin Neal. If we want to double up at D line, we still could. Kyle Kennard, penetrating South Carolina defensive end. Baron Sorrell out of Texas, not a huge fan of him, believe it or not. But Kobe Bryant, I like him out of Kansas, actually. I think that he's got some potential. He's a cornerback out of Kansas. But I'm gonna make the executive decision. I'm gonna say a couple things. Start a poll. Who should we draft? I'm gonna go tight end. I think one of the things is we can go tight end Jackson Hawes. So the big blocking tight end out of Georgia Tech. Wide receivers, there's just none good at this spot. Safety is a pretty big need. We have Billy Bowman, like we were saying, kind of the whole rangy safety that we can get. Questions about his tackling, but man, the guy is just an absolute ball hawk out there. You have Sebastian Castro. I still question his ceiling. I know a lot of people are kind of higher on him than I am. But I think that he's a very sound player. Like that's kind of his big piece. And then linebacker, I'm actually going to throw in linebacker Chris Paul. Sneaky linebacker is kind of a need for the Bears. Chris Paul Jr., just a good linebacker, kind of penetrative player too. So let's see what y'all have to say out there. And also, Samo, good question, good point with the Texas Tech tight end, because yeah, I like that guy, Jalen Conyers. He's the person that was the Wildcat quarterback that we were talking about. He's projected to go in the 7th, but then more and more people just started being like, hey, he's actually really good at football. It's like, yeah, he's sneaky. It's still the questions on his overall conditioning, but yeah, someone that I do like. Let's see what chat's saying. It's split right down the middle with a lot of this, with Jackson Hawes, Billy Bowman, and Chris Paul. I'm actually kind of surprised that Sebastian Castro, people are a little, he's not kind of pulling away with some of these. So let's see what y'all have to say. One more or a couple more votes, and then we'll have this decided. But yeah, this down a little bit farther, and not a lot of great players. I'm just looking at DNs like Elijah Roberts. Yeah, it's the later on, it's not as great as I would like to see this. So let's see, is someone going to be the final deciding vote in this all? Right, because right now we have a 3-way tie. Otherwise, I'm going to be the one that ultimately makes the call. But let's see. I'll give it a couple more seconds. Right now, all right, I'm going to call it. So it's a fielder's choice, or the host choice. So Jackson Hawes, Billy Bowman, and Chris Paul all split down the middle. I'm going to go with Billy Bowman. Right now, he's the highest rated player that's out there. So we're also just going to go best player available. He's the highest consensus rated player. Questions about his tackling ability is concerning, but I like just his ball hawk nature to him. So I'm hoping to get that out of him. And someone that kind of reminds me a little bit of Tyrann Mathieu. So we'll bring him out there and we will have him be the safety. So now we're going down to the final little round. So hopefully we can get some wide receivers, tight ends, some people that we have not necessarily drafted out there yet. Then we shall call it a day. And quite frankly, I'll get right back to scouting out some wide receivers for tomorrow's show. So right now, we get down to the very, very, very bottom end of this. Let's look at some of the wide receivers and tight ends. So tight ends, we have Luke Lachey out of Iowa. I actually do not mind that. I think he's solid tight end. And also Maloki Matavo. I think that he's a very fluid mover. We did not talk about him much in our tight end episode, but he's out of UCLA and very smooth with his kind of agility, breaks in and out. But at the same time, like, you see him move that way, but with the ball in his hands, but sometimes with his routes, doesn't necessarily translate over to his routes. And then from a wide receiver perspective, Daquan Felton out of Virginia Tech, Caden Prather, Ricky White is an interesting name for sure out of UNLV. Jimmy Horn Jr., very, very athletic out of Colorado. Trashawn Holden, LeJontay Wester out of Colorado. Elijah Badger, someone that is a big deep ball burner. And actually, Keandre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn is another person that I think some people are kind of sleeping on. Let's just see some best available. There's cornerback Kobe Bryant as well. Center Drew Kendall. Not gonna lie, I actually kind of like the idea of just going best player available. Actually, I love Colden. I really like Cody Lindenberg. So I think right now we will sign a free agent out there. So actually, and Broski, what's good, my friend? Saying, is ETN still available? Let's see, actually. Woody Marks, Bill Maffa, Donovan Edwards, Quinton Jackson, Marcus Yarns. Oh, dude. So something that we have not brought up, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt out of Arizona is awesome. I didn't scout him before I did the running back episode, but I did a profile. So download the profile. Dude, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt out of Arizona is really good. Someone that should be projected in the 3rd round. But actually with this, just since we're in the 7th round, I'm going to just start filling out this roster. Quite frankly, I really like Cody Lindenberg. I think that he's a phenomenal linebacker out of Minnesota. I'm actually working on my linebacker profile, so I'll have a full written up profile on him. But I just think that he's a very good mover. Since we're in the 7th round, there's a million players we could potentially get. I'm just going to add him to just fill out that linebacker room for us. So Lindenberg, we'll add him. And then actually just to kind of round things out, just because I know it can be a little tough for us to figure out who exactly we'll get, just to kind of round out the last little bit, I'm going to just add Luke Lachey. I think that he's got some solid floor. We need just a good tight end. See what we can kind of develop with him. So I'm going to just grab him to kind of round out the chat mock draft. Just since in the 7th round, a little bit tough. But like we said, we wanted to go with what would happen if the Bears went with Omarion Hampton. Can we salvage this? And quite frankly, I think we did. So going with this pick number 10, we went with Omarion Hampton. So not too bad, right? Just overall rank 13 when it comes down to ESPN's grades. Still, very powerful running back, just gets you somebody that it can be your bell cow. Then we went with Josh Connolly Jr., who dropped to the Bears at that pick number 39. So kind of solidifying that left tackle spot, as at least from the competition perspective. Then going Nick Scorton at defensive end, Tyleek Williams to round out the D tackle spot. So can't believe he dropped to us there. Then going with Billy Bowman, got to make him hit the weight room a little bit, but still being able to nab him at the safety position, going that far down, don't mind that at all. And then Cody Lindenberg, like that, and then Luke Lachey. So, yeah, Sam was saying, can't go wrong with an Iowa tight end in the 7th round. Agreed, right? Can't go wrong. When in doubt and you need a tight end, go Iowa. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for bearing with us as we went through these mock drafts, because Robo Poles absolutely failed as he did. So maybe next year we won't, or we'll just fly through it and I'll have another mock draft at the ready. But make sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, because tomorrow we'll be going through the wide receivers. So make sure to stay tuned, because we'll be breaking down some people that we need to be out on the lookout for. And also we're going to have we're going to have the draft guide continuously getting better. So if you want to read ahead, you can see my thoughts already on the wide receivers. It's absolutely completely free. So make sure to like and subscribe if you appreciate all the mock draft and draft content that we have out there. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and